Welcome to the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Mikel, and my mission with this podcast is simple: to help realtors and loan officers across the world tap into the value Instagram can have for them and their business. To me, organic business that comes to us is the name of the game. On this show, you're going to hear from myself, other experts across social media, and also others that are just like you, selling real estate and doing loans and doing it at a high level on social media.
So for me, serving them is really about equipping and empowering them to do what they were created to do. And I'm a big believer in not only knowing the people that you are serving, but also helping them understand who they are. One of the things that I do is we do disc assessments, because I think a disc assessment probably doesn't tell you anything you don't already know about yourself, but it certainly does make you aware of who you are, and it validates what your personality is. I also am a big believer in knowing what your love languages are. And if you know that, and if I know that about you, then I know how to better serve you. I know what's important to you, what you value. But knowing someone's disc assessment helps me understand, how do I speak their language? What are they really motivated by? And how can I help them grow? And every person's different. I think I learned that from having a larger team, and then also having the market of Houston, was every single person had a different personality. They had different life goals and different business goals. Not everybody wanted to be the $150 million producer. There are a lot of people who want to be a $15 million producer, and they are so happy to be doing that. And so it's learning those things about each person that you're leading and serving, and helping them develop into what they're wanting. One of the big things that we would do, and I still do, is a vision retreat. I want people to know, what is it that you want to do? What do you want to do a year from now? What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? When I'm talking to people who want to join us, that's one of the first questions I ask them. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Not professionally, personally. What's important to you? Because when you learn those things about people, then you learn how to serve them. You learn how to lead them and help them get to that point. So absolutely, I can teach tactics, and I do a lot. I'll do a coffee with Kelly, which is similar to what your title is, but I'll go into town to one of our markets and schedule a coffee with Kelly and take every loan officer that wants to attend. So sometimes we'll have 5, sometimes we'll have more, 15. And it's sitting down with them. And my whole purpose is to spend time with them, but it's also to bring one tactic that can help them grow their business and grow their influence in the space that they serve. So I think it's a lot of things, but it all starts with knowing your people and knowing what their goals are and their vision is.
I think that it's so special, right? When you can actually serve somebody where they want to be served. And I think the love language thing, even in like marriage, right? If you know how the other person operates, like you can be a better spouse. And I think it's very similar to how we lead people, right? I mean, I have 3 full-time employees, and I hate the word employees. Like, I think that that's a terrible word, because I just don't see them as that. I see them as people who were on this train together, and we're trying to grow and build this thing together. And so I love the way that you describe that. And the one thing about this assessment is, because I have all of my new employees, they have to go through that when they onboard. And what I really think is cool is, as you said, they're not necessarily learning anything that they don't already know. But I think what it really does is, at least for me, is it spurred conversation, right? It created opportunity to have conversation about things that were popping up. Maybe one of the things that they don't like doing is confrontation, and then it lists out like 3 or 4 different types of confrontation that they don't enjoy, right? And it kind of breaks that whole thing down. And with with that, when you're trying to lead somebody to be who they want to be in 5 years, if you know how they operate with those things, it makes conversation easier. It makes, when there is conflict, like it's a lot easier to overcome. And I think with the loan industry right now, it's crazy, right? You and I both know, like, people are retracting their business or their marketing for their business. They're retracting extra expenses. They're trying to do what they did initially when COVID first happened. And I certainly noticed that being on my side, right, is that people were just like pulling all their money out of their marketing. So this is an example of, like, if you know how somebody operates, like, you can talk to them about why that isn't what they should be doing. And I think that leads me to our big topic for today, which is ultimately, how can we grow our business even in what feels like a contracting market? And you said something brilliant in the video. For anybody who's not following Kelly on Instagram, Real Kelly Rogers, go watch this video that I'm talking about. But you said, let's not confuse success with a tailwind. So I'd love it if you could dive into that, speak to a little bit more into specifically what you meant by that and how that ties into dealing with all of the things that we've been talking about thus far.
Right. So first, I'm going to say one thing. You said something earlier about people who are wanting to slash their marketing budgets. Now's the time to double down. I can't say that enough. If you have marketing efforts that are working, don't stop. Now, back to your question. Don't confuse success with a tailwind. I think so many people over the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, have had great success. I look at data a lot because I'm a data nerd. And you look at people who had monster numbers in 2020 and 2021, and a lot of it was related to refinances. Not everyone's, but a fair amount. And we also had a very strong housing market. And so you had people out buying more homes, and you actually had homes available to purchase. And so you have all these things that it created the perfect storm in a great way for these people to be successful. They didn't have to have as many systems in place. They didn't have to follow their processes every time because business was just flowing in. Rates were low, and it was a lot easier. And so you have this tailwind that's created by the market itself, not because of your own efforts. And I see many of those people right now that are struggling. They are wondering, I hear lots of them saying, well, you can't get it done right now. I mean, we have all these creations, or we have all of these leads coming in, but we just can't get people under contract. So it's a bad market. And the reality is, it's not a bad market. You can still grow in this market. And I'm watching people do it. And it's because they're focused on doing the things that truly lead to success. They're not just riding that tailwind and reaping the benefits of what happens to be a great market. The true sign of success is when you can grow no matter what is going on in the marketplace. That's in any industry, in any time frame. And you see companies that have done it, and then you see people that have done it. In 2018, when companies were laying off people, and I think almost every mortgage company did, ours included, we still had loan officers, myself included, that grew their business. I think 2018 was the year that I scaled my business from 30 to 50 million. We literally helped 50% more families in 2018 than we did in 2017. And it was because we were focused on the process and we were focused on the relationships. And that's critical. So I think that you can absolutely grow. And especially this year, the opportunity is there if you're willing to do the work and take the risk.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go follow my guests on social media. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you consume this content.